Hello and welcome to Solent Sports News. I'm Ashley Gregory and these are your latest sports headlines here at 1:30. We start here with some breaking news here at Solent Sports News. It is understood that West Bromwich Albion forward Jay Rodriguez is going to contest an FA charge for alleged racist abuse of Brighton defender Gaetan Bong. Rodriguez pinched Bong's nose after the two clashed in the Baggies' 2-0 win at the Amex in January, with the Cameroonian alerting the referee to the incident. And the Premier League Manager of the Month for February has been announced. And Chris Hughton involved, of course, with Brighton there. It's him. He's beaten the likes of Jurgen Klopp and Mauricio Pochettino to the award. The Seagulls went unbeaten in February, including wins at home to Swansea and West Ham. And Hughton has praised his players as Brighton climb ever closer to safety.
Well, it's a wonderful achievement and a great achievement for the club and certainly for a group of players that have improved as the season has gone on and knowing that we've still got a lot of work to do.
And Liverpool's Mohamed Salah has snatched the Player of the Month award for the third time this season, registering 4 goals and 2 assists in February. Salah and co travel to Manchester United as Liverpool face their fierce rivals in tomorrow's early kick-off. And in the relegation dogfight, Southampton travel to Newcastle and Huddersfield host Swansea. Now we can preview some of this weekend's Premier League fixtures with Joel Newman. Joel, what can we expect to see over the coming days?
Well, I think the main game, obviously, to look forward to is Saturday lunchtime, Manchester United v Liverpool. It's obviously the fight for second place. I think you look at the last game at Anfield in October was a bit of a dull game, a 0-0 draw. Obviously, United are on form, beating Crystal Palace 3-2 on Monday night with the late winner from Nemanja Matic. Liverpool in form, Mo Salah, Player of the Month. They beat Newcastle 2-0. They've safely through to the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And I think it's going to be one of those games which will probably be one that a lot of fans will look back on fondly come the end of the season.
Yeah, and so what do you think fans will be expecting from the game? Which fans do you think will go in the most confident?
I'd say Liverpool will be probably more confident going into it with the way they're playing, I think. But with Manchester United, Jose Mourinho knows how to set a side up that can grind out a result. So it'll be a very interesting game come Saturday.
And with Liverpool obviously being through in the Champions League, Manchester United still with that game to play against Seville this week, do you think that will have much of an effect on the way the managers approach the fixture?
I think Jurgen Klopp will probably put out a stronger side because he rested Sadio Mane and the likes of Virgil van Dijk and Andy Robertson in midweek, whereas Man United haven't had that luxury, and obviously they've got Sevilla on Tuesday and then they've got an FA Cup quarter-final on Saturday. So it'll be very interesting to see what side that Jose Mourinho picks at the weekend.
And how about down at the wrong end of the table then, the relegation battles? Which game do you think is the most interesting for us?
Well, I'd say there's two massive games. Obviously Huddersfield v Swansea, Newcastle v Southampton, 2 big games. Obviously you look at Newcastle, Southampton have probably been the surprise of the season, how far they've fallen from the last 2 seasons. Newcastle, probably a lot of fans were expecting it. Obviously just come up, not really strengthened their side. And you then look at Huddersfield, Swansea. Huddersfield have been in a pretty average way of form, and then Swansea were 1 win in 10 before they were beaten 4-1 by Brighton, and then beat West Ham again 4-1 last weekend. So it was a very interesting weekend.
So just to sum up then, with those 2 big relegation battles going on at the wrong end of the table, which fans do you think will be the most confident? What can we expect to see result-wise, do you think?
I think they're both going to be very cagey games. I think both games it'll probably be looking at 1 goal in it either way. It's too hard to tell, too close to call.
And do you want to just quickly let us know the rest of the fixtures for this weekend?
Yep, so we've got West Brom v Leicester, West Ham v Burnley and Chelsea v Crystal Palace on Saturday. Arsenal v back in action on Sunday against Watford. Also, just to mention, it's John Motson's last ever live commentary for the BBC. Then Bournemouth versus Tottenham, and then the Monday night football is Stoke at home to Manchester City.
Thanks very much for joining us, Joel.
Pleasure.
Appreciate your help. Pleasure to see you. Right, moving on to some cycling now, and 4-time Tour de France winner Chris Froome has given his full backing to team principal Sir Dave Brailsford. This follows an MP's report stating Team Sky crossed an ethical line by using drugs to enhance the performance of riders instead of for solely medical need. Froome said Team Sky have evolved since its early years, and that is the focus of the report. The British rider is still under investigation by the UCI for failing a drugs test in September last year. Now we can hear from our rugby correspondent Will Perridge. He's on his way to France to see if England can keep their Six Nations hopes alive.
The Six Nations return this weekend as England travelled to Paris in search of a win over France. Eddie Jones had to make 3 changes to his side, with injured captain Dylan Hartley being replaced by Saracens hooker Jamie George. The other changes come in the back as Elliot Daly replaces Mike Brown and Ben Teo replaces Jonathan Joseph. England lost their chance at a Grand Slam 2 weeks ago as they lost to Scotland at Murrayfield. However, a bonus point win over the French could see their hopes still alive. However, those hopes will very much depend on the result of Ireland's game against Scotland in Dublin. Ireland are still on course for a Grand Slam, but will face a very good Scottish side who are hot off the back of that win over England. Should Scotland beat Ireland in Dublin, it will be a very interesting last round of fixtures as all of England, Scotland and Ireland will go into them with a chance of winning the championship. And the other game of the weekend is Wales versus Italy, which is a bit of a dead rubber match considering neither team can win the championship. However, with speculation circling that Italy could be replacing the Six Nations Championship by the likes of Georgia and Romania, the Italians will be keen to win to prove to everyone else that they are good enough to remain with the best.
Great stuff from Will Perez there on his way to France. And now Winter Paralympics, and the opening ceremony for the biggest ever Paralympic event has just finished in Pyeongchang. A spectacular light show and fireworks mark the start of the remarkable ceremony, with snowboarder Owen Pitt carrying the flag for GB, and Paralympics GB targeting at least 7 medals, which would be their best result since 1984. In addition, there's a neutral Paralympic athlete delegation that's going to permit some Russian athletes to compete, and this is due to a report that found evidence of state-sponsored doping in their homeland. In motorsport, there's more misery for McLaren on the final day of Formula 1 testing. Fernando Alonso stopped on track due to an oil leak to add to the problems the team has already sustained in testing. Kimi Raikkonen currently leads the way at the top of the timesheets, while rookie Charles Leclerc crashed his Sauber. World champion Lewis Hamilton set the 6th quickest lap of the day so far. And in diving, Tom Daley is at it again. Daley and his partner Dan Goodfellow won a bronze medal in the 10-metre synchronised pairs at the opening diving World Series event in Beijing. The British pair were second going into the final dive, but were pipped at the post for silver by Ukraine. Daley and Goodfellow will compete in the second round of the World Series in Japan next week, before representing England at the Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast in Australia in April. And to round us off, a Spanish golfer could win the Indian Open despite waking up 38 minutes before his tee-off time. Pablo Larrazabal said he missed his morning alarm, followed by a 10-second shower, but he still went on to shoot 5 under par in a round of 67, 2 shots behind the leader. And that's all for now. Join us again in an hour. Thanks very much for listening.